Hey guys, welcome back to Bait and Tackle, and today we're going to do a couple of first things on the channel. I mean, one thing we're going to do, we've done before, we've done the 12-inch Mega Grub from Epic Bait Molds, except today we're going to do it again, but we're going to do two different colors. One's just going to be straight monkey milk, the other one is just going to consist of glitters. And we're going to do two glitters, and we're going to do probably the first time I've done the tail mold on this channel. So we're going to shoot the tail mold with just glitters. It's going to be a special mixture, just glitters, and then the body is going to be just glitter as well, but bigger glitter. So we're going to try some different things, see how they come out, and I'm also going to introduce Pourasol Pro. You've seen this on the channel, but this time we're going to use the hard formula, and this is the hardest formula that they have right now. So we're going to try this in this 12-inch Mega Grub and see how hard it really is. I'm expecting it to be fairly hard. I don't expect it to be like saltwater grade plastic, but it's probably going to be firm enough to what it's got to do. Now these are going to be thrown in salt water for a guy that I know that wanted a couple of these, and I'm going to make him a couple of these and just see how they go, and hopefully it works out okay for him. So let's get you down to the bench and let's start mixing up some plastic. So we are going to do the monkey milk first. This is the tail mold, or no, is this the, yeah, this is the tail mold right here. And I don't know if you guys have seen me show this or not, but it's pretty wild. So I can do two tails to one grub. I only have one grub mold. We're going to do that one later. First, we're going to mix up. Let's just make sure this is clean, ready to go. It looks like it's good. I don't see any extra plastic anywhere or anything like that, so I think that is ready. Okay, we are going to set him off to the side, and I might start heating him up a little bit. I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. I don't want this mold super hot, but at the same time I kind of want it a little bit warm just so it doesn't cause any bubbles or anything like that. So I may get my little heater out and try that. Actually, we're just going to do monkey milk anyway, first shot. It's just going to be two of the same color anyway. So got my cup. We got our Pourasol Pro hard plastisol, and I'm not going to shake this up crazy. It actually looks pretty good. That's the one thing about this Pourasol Pro is it doesn't separate as bad as other plastic brands. That's the one thing I really like about it. So when it sits here for a while, which has been here for a couple weeks, sitting here waiting on me, it's not as bad. So take this off. Got the extra cap there, extra protection cap there, which I really like about, that's what I really like about this stuff too. It's got that secondary cap. Keeps everything nice and sealed up. So I'm just going to flip that over inside the cap so it doesn't make a mess. And I'm going to go ahead and probably pour about 1.5 cups. Okay. And we are just going to, like I said, we're going to just do this quick because I'm going to make, you know, 3 different colors. So I'm going to get this in the microwave. Probably get it going for about 3 minutes. Start getting it heated up. And then we're going to go ahead and add our, I already mixed this up pretty good, but I'll probably do it again before we start. But this is the Bait Plastics monkey milk. Okay, and that's what he wants. He just wants monkey milk. So we're going to go ahead and make up 2 of these. So I'm going to have to shoot one, let it set, come back, shoot another one. It's going to take a little bit to get through this video, so we'll do our best and as quick as possible. All right, so plastic is hot. I've got my monkey milk already mixed in, and we should be all set with that. I got quite a bit of it in there. Hopefully it's not going to be too light of a color, but I think it'll be nice. It'll be a nice creamy color with that blue highlight in it. So I think that'll turn out really good. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just vacuuming it out real quick. We're gonna probably heat it back up again because it's a little cool, and then we'll go ahead and shoot this guy. So I may get you a different view here before we shoot it. Okay, I know you guys can see that right now, but look at that blue highlight. Oh, it's gorgeous. I'm gonna go ahead and heat it up real quick one more time for about 30 seconds. And then we are going to go ahead. Injector feels nice and smooth. You always need to make sure you lube your injectors and check your O-rings, make sure that it's clean. I do that pretty much regularly when I shoot plastics. So we're just gonna bring that temperature up just a little bit, and I think we're gonna be good. I think we were around 315 or something like that. So if we can bring it up to like 330, 340, I'd be a lot happier. So we got our mold clamped so we don't have any bleed over. Got about 30 seconds on it. Let's just stir it up and see. I'm going to attempt to do this over here. Then that way, yeah, we're at about mid 330s, about 330. So that's pretty perfect. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure my injector's ready. I'm going to draw up on it. I'm going to do the full thing here. I'm going to bleed off the injector to get air out of it, and I think we're good there. And I am going to go ahead, stand this up, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot it until it takes no more. And we are good right there. Now, the one thing about this mold, especially since it's cold, is it will draw a lot more plastic. So the one thing that I need to do sitting here is I need to make sure that I feed this. Okay, get you in a little closer. I need to make sure that I need to feed this while it's drawing that plastic in. Now I usually have some sprue extenders which you can use. I've got some aluminum ones. I used to have copper ones. You can put these on there and fill it up. But in this case, I'm just going to just sit here for a few minutes and just keep feeding the fire. Because if you don't, you're going to end up with a big hole or a dent, and I just want to make sure that it pulls in all of the plastic it needs. And the real reason it does this is because of how cold the mold is. So if I would have preheated the mold, which I probably will do on the next color that we do with the glitter, but as of right now, I'm not going to do that on this. I'm just making sure that it draws down the right amount of plastic to make sure. And I'm hoping that we have enough plastic to do one more of these, because we have to do two. But I think with what we have around the sides, the sprue in this guy, and what I had left in the injector, I'm pretty sure we've got plenty. So see, it's going down again. So like I said, just got to keep feeding it. And I'm not worried about any extra plastic going over the side. Starting to suck it in again. You just got to be very patient. Very patient. You just don't want any air in there. You don't want any holes. So I'm just making sure that I stay on top of it. The next one I might do the sprue extender, just so you guys can see that. Yeah, the tail mold is not a big deal because it doesn't take as much plastic. But this one, it drinks the plastic. That body is huge. It takes quite a few ounces of plastic. I'm just going ahead and taking some of the, there it goes again. Just want to stay on top of it. Eventually it'll stop drawing, and I may just stop and let it draw down into the, but I'm just trying to do my due diligence, just making sure that it takes all that. There, it's starting to draw down again. So I'll hit it one more time. I think we're probably good right there. So I'm just cutting up the sprue plastic, or the plastic that was inside of the injector. Just cut it down into smaller pieces so it melts quicker. And then that way we're ready for the next one. So it looks like it's going to draw down one more time. See it? And if I've got enough plastic here, I don't know if I've got enough hot plastic around the outside. I may or may not here. There it comes. I'm just going to put a little bit right there. So I did it like, what, 5 times probably. So I'm just going to leave that alone. Give it a few minutes to set up, because I know that's a lot of plastic in there, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. If you touch it, I mean, it's warm to the, it's not warm to the touch, but it's getting warmer. And as I shoot it progressively, it's going to get hotter and hotter. So it's going to take longer and longer for these to cure. But let me let this one set up for a little bit, and then we'll come back and demold it. Let's demold this thing, guys. I probably need to get some water, but I'm going to go ahead and just set this on a, this has got to be set on a, oh yeah, beautiful color. Yep, this is exactly what I wanted. Alright, so the middle of this is still a little warm. Looks like we got a little tiny bit of air trapped in there, but I'm not really too worried about it. Really, really small amount. Tail came out great. I see a couple little tiny air bubbles in there, but I'm not really super worried about it. I want to cut this sprue off, but at the same time, I want to leave it there to see. Yeah, it seems pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. Yep, nice and solid. Now sometimes when I cut that sprue off, sometimes I'll get an air pocket in there. But this, no problems at all. So as long as you keep filling that sprue up, there's no issues at all. I'm just trimming up some of the top of it just to make sure we're good. And any little bit of plastic I can get back in there and remelt it is going to be great. So there's one, and I'm going to go ahead and make a second one. And while you guys are, I'm just letting that set on a, on one of the cookie sheets that I have, so then that way it'll be ready. So I'm gonna just getting this all to the middle, getting a little bit, getting everything there. I've already taken everything out of the injector, so I should have enough to do another one. So 1.5 cups of plastic is the way to go if you want to make 2 of these. And make sure your vices are nice and tight, especially on something this big. You know, you don't want to overshoot it, but it seemed like it went very smooth the last time. So again, I'm going to heat up another batch. We're going to shoot another one, and then we're going to start on to our next color. All right, guys, demolding number 2. Absolutely incredible. And I let that one set up in there the whole time. So this one is ready to go. And there it is. Incredible. So that's 2. Only making 2 a piece. Now I gotta mix up some more plastic for the tail mold first. So the next one we're gonna do is the tail. And this one is gonna have a whole bunch of different This one's going to have a whole bunch of different flake in it, different glitters. So probably going to start, do this again. We're going to get, it's already been mixed pretty well, but I'm just going to roll it over a couple times just to make sure that we're good. What really interests me in this plastisol is that it does such a good job. And in this one, I'm only going to do a cup of plastic because we don't need to do as much for the tails. The tails aren't as much plastic. So we're just going to do 1 cup. I'm going to go ahead and start getting it heated up. We're going to switch positions here, and then we're going to start mixing some glitter. All right, so I'm looking at this list of glitters that he wants me to use for the tail, and he wants a little bit of all these in here. He wants blue, and I'm going to go ahead and just start taking the tape off. And this is all from Barlow's, and this is the large glitter, which is a 0.040 inch glitter. So I'm going to use blue. We're going to use a little bit of silver. So I'm going to just kind of mix all these in equally, except one of the colors. Here's chartreuse, and then here is some black. And again, I'm not going to use a ton of these. I'm not going to use a ton of quantity of these. This one is like a light, is like a pink. He wants a little bit of that in there, but just a little bit of this. So I'm going to go a little bit lighter on that. And I'm going to go with 1 size scoop for everything else. So what I'm thinking is I am going to do this is 1 cup. So I'm going to do these 2 sizes out of my measuring spoons. I'm going to do a smidgen, which is a 1/32 teaspoon, and I'm going to do a pinch, which is a 1/16 teaspoon for everything else. So the pink is going to be the smidgen, and everything else is going to be a pinch. And I'm just going to do them level off, no heaping scoops or nothing like that. Okay, so as you can tell, I've heated this up for about 3 minutes, and it's starting to gel, but I had to get that white, mixed in there real good. And again, this is a hard durometer of this plastic, so it's starting to gel. I need another probably 30 seconds to a minute. I'm going to do 30 at a time, and then we're going to start cracking the lids on these glitters, which I'm going to do over my trash can, because every time I crack these glitters, glitter goes everywhere. So I'm just going to do 1 at a time. Trying not to make a mess. That's 30, and it's starting to thin out again. So we're very close. I want to get all the glitter in here first before we put it in the vacuum chamber. So I'm ready. I'm going to go ahead. Here's my cup of plastic. I'm going to go ahead and do 1 small smidgen of the pink. Okay, we're going to set that off to the side, close the pink up. Next is the chartreuse. Next, we're going to do the silver. Sorry guys, I've got something in my throat. I keep coughing. Next we have the black glitter. Next we have the purple glitter. And last we have the blue glitter. And again, all this glitter is Barlow's. I will definitely leave my code at the end of the video so that y'all, if you order any of this stuff, please use my code, and it helps support the channel, which helps me get more of these products in here to show you guys on the channel. Sorry, I just cleaned my station. I'm trying to get my station clean so that it's all good. All right, so this is all the color he requested in here. Again, I went very light on the pink, like half, and I went, you know, that pinch 1/16 of a teaspoon on everything else. So it is purely glitter at this point. I hope you guys can see that. Very, very cool. It's a little bit different than what you guys see on the camera, but I'm going to go ahead and heat that up a little bit. We're going to get the tail mold ready. I'm going to open it up, double check it, make sure there's nothing in there. No extra plastic. It's clean. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and cinch it down, and I need to make 2 of these anyway, so we're going to go ahead and make both tails, which is kind of perfect for what I'm doing right now. Okay. So this is ready to go. I'm going to move the camera and get it ready for this shot. Okay, I'm going to start off with a wide view, because the first thing we need to do is, once this is heated up to where we want it to be, I am going to get it nice and hot, which I just did. I'm going to knock down some of the air bubbles. I'm going to give this a good stir, make sure the outside of the cup is down in there, everything is good, and it is. It's nice and hot. Okay, I'm going to put this in the vacuum pot. I'm going to vacuum that down to a -30 in here. And once we get that done, once that gets all the air and the moisture out of it, which looks like it's doing a pretty good job, it's bubbling up right now. See if I can take you off here to show you. And it hit the limit, and it's the one good thing about this plastic is it does not absorb the moisture as much as the other plastics do, other brands. That's one thing I love about it, is I don't have to, like, I can fill up a cup of plastisol in our Pyrex cups and it doesn't, you know, run over like a lot of the old ones do with all the stuff I add into them. This does not seem to do that as bad. So really enjoying this new plastic. Alright, so we're good there. Just gonna drain, let the air back into the vacuum pot slowly. Alright, get our plastic back out. It looks great. It looks crystal clear. I don't see any air bubbles, but a couple on the top. I'm going to check the temperature real quick before we get into this, and I think I might have to heat it up one more time. We're at 340, 330, 320. That's probably okay for this. So let's go ahead and inject it. I'm going to pull up most of this, even though I don't really need to. Bleed off the air. And then we're going to go ahead and hit it. And again, these don't take that much plastic. Okay. Hopefully I didn't hit it too hard. So one thing about these smaller molds is if you put too much pressure on, they might flash a little bit, which is not a problem because I can solve that pretty easily if it does. That's going to be just a case, and these should actually set pretty fast. So I'm just getting my injector bleeded out so that it's nice and clean for the next shot we're going to do, which it is. I went ahead and oiled up my injector on the last run just to make sure we're ready for this one. Okay. These are not, like I said, there's not a lot of plastic in these, so it's not going to take long for these to get cured up. It's still got some hot plastic on the top, but I think we're pretty good here. So let me get you down here a little bit closer. I'm going to take these off. I'm expecting a little bleed over. Oh yeah, it came out the side on that one. But hopefully it's not too bad. I may have to use the knife pull on this one. Yep, it bled over just a tiny bit though, so that's not bad. We can actually work with that because what you can do is you can actually trim off the excess on these pretty easy. I'm just trying to clean my spatula off because it's got some glitter, and I don't want to make sure that glitter doesn't get into the other one. So what you can do on these is you can actually take this plastic edge here. Hold on, I'm trying to get it to focus. For some reason this camera, and I'm going to get a new camera here at some point relatively soon, it wants to focus like in the upper left hand corner a lot, and I don't want it to do that. All right, so we got the tail here. Here's our little bit of flashing, see it? Okay, so what we can do here is just take and pull this flashing off, and it comes right off because it peels right where the mold sat. So I'm just going to do that, and I believe this is the only spot on this tail that it did it. Yeah, that's the only spot it did it. But man, that tail came out phenomenal. That looks incredible. I know you guys can't see the color as well as I can, but man, that's incredible. All right, so on these, you cut right below the sprue right here. And now that tail is ready to go into the mold. So same thing on this one. I'm going to pull this one off. See if we got a tiny bit of flashing down here in this very corner. I'm just going to peel that off. But look at that. I mean, crystal clear. I'm loving that color combo that he wanted me to do on these. It's got like a little bit of everything. It's incredible. So again, just cutting the sprue right here. And I will take some pictures of these in the end, and hopefully the pictures will come out a little bit better. But there's our two tails right there, ready to go. Okay, so that's the tail mold. That's the first time like I said, I think we've done that on this channel. So I'm going to go ahead and put that off to the side because we are done with the tail mold. Now comes the fun part of putting the tail in the mold. So you got to just make sure you line everything up. Okay, make sure it sets in the mold the way you want it, because if you pinch it, the plastic's going to go outside. Let me try to get you up into field of view here a little bit better. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so we got you a good view. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this tail sets in there perfect, so it doesn't get pinched and it doesn't flatten it out when I put the mold back together. Okay, so we got to do this twice, and you can see that when I get the tail in there, You see how this flap goes up in the middle, but it's going to have plastic on both sides of it to fuse it to the next color. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and I've got that put together, and I'm going to turn this up. I'm going to go ahead and put my first clamp on. I'm going to put my second clamp on. Okay, so that is ready to go. It's time to mix up our next color. So let's get out our cup. Let's get some more plastisol going. And these are the bodies. So I'm going to probably do, that was a lot of plastic on that last thing. I probably didn't need to do that much, but we're going to go ahead and do a cup and a half because the bodies use a lot. Now the only thing about this that's going to be a little bit different here, we get this started heated up. We're only going to use 2 glitters on this side. We are going to use an extra large silver and an extra large black. What I want to do is I want to do more silver and a little less black because I don't want the black to take away from the silver. I want more silver and less black. So we're going to use some different measuring spoons on this one. We're going to use the 2 biggest ones I got, which are a dash, which is 1/8. We're going to start with that with the black, and we're going to do a tad, which is a 1/4 teaspoon on the silver, which is a lot. So we're going to go ahead and do those. Then that way we know how much we got to go, and if I got to do smaller quantities I can. I don't think it'll be that bad, to be honest. So I'm getting my plastic heated up right now. I'm going to take this tape off the containers. Again, Barlow's glitter. And this is, again, extra large, which is a 0.125, which I have never used, I don't believe. And I don't think I've used it on this channel either. So this is going to be something a little bit new, okay? So once I get this plastic heated up, we'll get some glitter in there. All right, we are ready to add our glitter. So we're going to start. These are such big flakes. I'm just going to go ahead and start adding them. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 scoops right now, and we're going to see what that does. I want this to be very silver, like super saturated in silver. And I could probably use a little bit more. So we're going to go 3, 4. Let's see what that gives us. Kind of curious what it looks like when it's out here on the table, like how much silver is out here. I think I'm going to keep going. That was 5. We're going to go 6, 7, 8. Again, I want this super saturated with silver, and the black I want just a touch of black. I think that'll be good. Let's start with that. I'm actually thinking about do 1 scoop of this black and let's just see what that does. That's going to darken it up a little bit too. Again, I don't want a lot of black, I just want enough to like put some speckled black flakes throughout the... Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Super saturated with black, not as much silver. Okay, so I think I'm good there. Trying to get one little speck of flake in there. Not even a speck, these things are so big, it's crazy. All right, so got that in there. I'm gonna just stir that up one more time, scrape it off. I'm gonna get it heated up one more time. I'm gonna put away those measuring spoons, and I didn't even use a dash, I used a tad, which is the 1/4, I believe. Yeah, 1/4 teaspoon. I ended up using that of black too. So let me heat this up one more time. I'm gonna go ahead and get it in the vacuum chamber. And then I think we're gonna be ready to inject. I wanna make sure this is stirred really well, so then that way the glitter is evenly distributed, which it is. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I'm going to bring over my injector. We got to do this quick. Injector is full. I'm going to do my bleed off. And I want to make sure that I do this quick because I want to make sure that the glitter stays where it's supposed to stay. Have it, and again we got to sit here. I'm not as worried about this one because we have plenty of plastic to pour, but again we're going to do the same thing we did on the last one. I'm going to watch that sprue. When it starts going down, I'm just going to keep adding plastic. Okay, start sucking in too much, I want to keep adding. So this is really cool. This is a different type of video than I normally do because I don't think I've ever really done any baits that are primarily glitter. So I was going to use colorant, but the more I thought about it, I'm thinking, you know, this could be really awesome if it's just glitter with the colors he wants. And I saw that Barlow's had the Extra Large Flake, which is huge. It's 0.125. I mean, it's blows a large out of the water. It's more than, you know, triple what it is. So I was like, man, that would be really cool to do a bait with just that giant flake as the color instead of doing colorant, you know, in the plastic, which, you know, don't get me wrong, I love doing colorant in plastic. That's all I've ever done. But I have seen some people do some like just glitter in baits, and it's pretty wild. It definitely gives it a different effect. I'm just keep adding to these. I'm probably adding too much every time I do this, but I just want to make sure that we have enough plastic. I don't want it to pull in any air, you know, I don't want it to pull in an air bubble or anything like that. It definitely had a long time to cool, the mold did. And right now it looks like I'm just pouring clear plastic into this head, not even any of the glitter. The glitter is starting to settle. So that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen in the bait, is I'm hoping it cools fast enough to where it sets the glitter in place and it doesn't fall down. You know what I mean? Like with the tail mold, you don't have to worry about that because the tail is so thin that it sets so fast. You don't have to worry about the glitter like falling down into place. Like you got to do that when you're doing swim baits and stuff like that. You got to make sure that the colorant or the glitters don't fall to the bottom. Sometimes that does happen. especially if there's too much heat applied. Like if you're doing any of the aluminum molds by AI, or even epic bait molds, if you're doing those and you heat them up too much with glitter in the body of the plastic, it will settle to the bottom because the heat's just going to make it so that it goes to the bottom. So you want that glitter to stay, what's the right word? You want it to stay suspended inside of the plastic so it doesn't fall. And I think we've done a pretty good job. I think we've done a pretty good job of that in this one. Because again, once it hits the mold, it starts to cool. So wherever that glitter goes, it's gonna, it's just gonna stay right there because it's already starting to cool. Now the inside, the middle the core might not, because the core takes a little bit longer for it to set up. So I think we're good there on filling up the sprue. I don't think we have to do it anymore. I think we're all set there. So I'm gonna stop there, let that go ahead, and I can see it dipping down a little bit again. I'll hit it one more time. I'll hit it one more time and let it do its thing. All right, I hope you guys are excited as I am right now. I really want to see how good this came out. The mold's still a little bit warm, but I'm hoping that it came out okay. All the glitter went to one side, so it was just a little bit too hot. But I do like that. It actually came out pretty cool. But this flake is so heavy that it just all gravitates to the bottom. Now this one had a little bit of an air pocket in it too, in the middle. I don't know if you can see that or not. Try to get you guys in here, but if you can see this hole right here on the top. So the only way to really fill that in is to just grab some. So I think I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not gonna mess with it. That's actually pretty cool. Hopefully he's okay with that. I'm just going to send him, see if he likes it. But this next one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to not get it as hot. The mold is kind of warm, but I think what I'm going to have to do is back off on the temperature a little bit, just to get it to fill in correctly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start getting this heated back up. That's why we do this twice. But that came out pretty cool. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that plastic hot, and I've got this little injector tool that I'm going to use. And what this does, let me back you up here. What this does is it'll allow me to draw the plastic in, and then that way I can push it in there, and I'll leave a little bit of air gap. You just got to make sure you leave a little bit of air gap. I'll push the plastic in there until it comes out the top. Then that way it's solid. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's really cool. So I was just really hoping that wouldn't have done that, because it was so hot. So we'll fix this one. I'm not going to redo that just because it's kind of a pain in the butt to try to peel that. I don't want to peel this off of the tail. But we got to get this soft plastic heated back up. But again, it can't be too hot. Let me show you this on my hand. I'll take some pictures at the end of this thing just so you can see what it looks like. But it's incredible. It's incredible. Can't wait to show my buddy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some of this plastic and I'm gonna inject it into this bait. So now that's filled in and I don't see the air void anymore. So I just injected that with plastic. Right to the top. So that's done. Filled that one back in. That one's ready to go. But what I'm going to do here is, while we're sitting here waiting, I'm going to go ahead and stir this again. Check temperature. Yeah, it's still 340s. And while I'm here, I might as well go ahead and just vacuum out any air one more time. And again, this mold is it's warm. It's not hot, but it's warm. So what I'm thinking is we'll pour it, see how it goes. Pour it, see how it goes. Good there. I'm sorry, pour it. I meant we're gonna inject it. So I just got all the air bubbles to the top there. Get those flattened out. Give this another stir. We're at 320s right now. So doing that really speeds up the cooling process. So I'm gonna go ahead and inject. All right, I want to make sure there's no air in there. Okay, we just filled the cavity. Got the top to the sprue. I'm going to bleed off the injector back into there so we've got some more plastic. And I'm going to sit here and do the waiting game. You guys ready to demold this last one? Let's see if it did any better. I'm hoping it did, but you know, the problem with this, I got thinking about this mold a little bit more. You know, there's no way to lay it down when it's, you know, when it's curing and stuff like that. You got to stand it up because the plastic's going to want to try to come out the top. The other thing is that it's, you know, it's such a big mold and there's so much plastic in there that I expect it to kind of settle. So I'm really not surprised, unless it was an extremely cold mold, like, you know, set it on the concrete floor for a couple hours, you know what I'm saying, like that kind of thing. So I don't know if there's really anything I can really do. I did shoot it with colder plastic just to see if that would help, but I think it did the same thing. Yeah, it just did the same thing. So I shot it about a good 20 degrees cooler and it did exactly the same thing. Plus the center of that, the problem is the center of this is going to stay hot for a while because it's trying to cool down, you know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, it is what it is. Hoping this one doesn't have a big hole in the center, which I don't think it does. Nope, this one's solid. So this one definitely poured better. I didn't have to fill it in better, but it's going to be what it's going to be because there's really nothing I could do. You can see how the flake stayed to the outside. You know, whatever to the outside it stayed and cooled real quick, but anything in the middle just settled down to that one end, and actually tried to settle down like this too because of the way the mold sits right like that. It's got that angle to it, so it wants to settle to that bottom corner. So down here it looks magnificent, but up here you can start to see where it breaks down, where it's half and half kind of thing. But anyway, I mean, those came out pretty cool. I'm not upset about it. It is what it is. I'm not really gonna, you know, cry over spilt milk kind of thing. And to be honest with you, sometimes when things don't come out right, I think they actually kind of sometimes intend they just look better. So let me take some pictures of these things in the wild, in their natural habitat, and then I think we're just going to finish this video up. So we got our 4 baits done. Am I happy? Pretty happy. I was a little disappointed that the flake settled, but again, after thinking about it and after really doing some due diligence, you know, if this was a smaller mold and it wasn't so big, the problem with this mold is it would have to be ice cold for it to set up that fast, and I still don't think it's gonna, the center of it would still settle the way I wouldn't want it to. And if you wait too long with this hard plastic, it's gonna solidify so much harder, because this plastic is a harder durometer than most, and it wants to harden up so much that it's really hard to inject at lower temperatures. So kind of tough to do that. Now, if I were to redo this again, I probably would have done this, but I would have taken this and I would have added colorant, like a silver colorant, to the plastic. So when I do this again, or if I do this again, I'll definitely add colorant to the plastic. Now, this would have worked fine in a smaller mold, but the problem is with a smaller mold with these bigger flakes is the cavities, you know, if it has appendages, little appendages and stuff, these might actually clog up the little extremities and you won't be able to get the full bait. So that's my only worry about using that giant glitter. So if it's a bait that has decent sized appendages and that kind of thing, then it'll be fine. But on a swim bait, the tail will be an issue. Like if this stuff clogs up the tail, I might try it. I might just try some of this, like in some swim baits or something, like some Kitex or something, just to see how it comes out. But in the small mold like that with all the aluminum and smaller cavities, it actually cures, it cools down so much faster, and you won't have that settling effect. This looks a lot like when I was doing some swim baits, and when I was heating up the swim baits on the hot plate, it would get too hot and the flake would settle. So it's along the same lines, right? It's kind of that same thing, except these flakes are so big, they're so much heavier than this small flake, like in this tail. And this is a large flake, but this is super large compared to these. But it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how that reacts in some smaller cavity molds. So I'm still pretty happy about everything. Like the monkey milk came out perfect. Like, I mean, you know, one shot, you know, they came out good. They really didn't indent at all. I mean, they came out perfect as I would expect them to. So the tail mold, that came out perfect. You know, doing the smaller glitter on those, injecting those, you can see where it kind of thinned out a little bit in the tail, but then, you know, the consistency of the glitter was a little bit thicker down here. You know, it's cool. I'm not really upset about that at all. So, do these look cool? Yes, these look freaking amazing. So the cool thing I like about them is that you got all that different color in the tail, and then you got, you know, this silver black body, but it's kind of clear on the top, so it almost gives the appearance, if you're swimming it from the side, you know, either up like that or down like this, it looks like a really smaller streamlined fish, not as big of a body, you know what I mean? So I'm actually kind of cool. I'm really curious to see how my buddy does with these. Again, it's going to be salt water. I'm really curious of the durometer of plastic. This is soft plastic. Anything in the ocean, you know, has teeth, so it's probably going to get absolutely destroyed. So chances are we're probably going to have to come up with a different way. I know there's different silicone plastics you can do, but you know, injecting that and doing them like this, that's a pretty tough thing. I know my buddy Tom over at Saddle Tramp, he uses a different durometer plastic for tails on his swim baits and stuff like that, and his grubs, because of the amount of teeth when it comes to muskies. So I may talk to him about that, but this is the first time like I've said, I've used this hard durometer Pourasol Pro, and I mean, it's hard, but I just don't, this has been sitting here for a while, I just don't see, I mean, and this is still a little warm, it's still not all the way cured. I don't see how it's that hard. Like that saltwater bait plastics, that stuff is incredibly hard to pour, incredibly hard to inject. It's incredibly hard to do everything, because when you heat it up and get it to that temp, even when you get it to 350, it's still very thick and hard to work with. So a lot of people have like asked me, well, have you tried like the same stuff like that Z-Man uses in their stuff? And I said, yeah, I've got some of that Flex X, I think it's 200 that I've got sitting here, and I've tried that before. The problem is you can't heat it up in a microwave, so you have to heat that up just on straight heat. So, you know, I definitely learned some stuff out of this. I love this giant glitter. This is freaking awesome. So if I can find the right mold to put these in a smaller bait for like bass fishing, I'm totally going to do it, because I think that's going to be freaking awesome. I'm not sure if like the hatchet craw might work, it might not, it might clog up some of the claws, so I may try some of those maybe in the future, and maybe some other baits, but I gotta be honest, really cool. Love Epic Bait Molds. Let's get you over here where you can see me, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. Okay, so again, guys, you know, great time always injecting Epic Bait Molds. I love doing these 12-inch grubs. They're just such a huge bait, and they take so much plastic. So whenever somebody asks me, you know, hey, can you make a couple of these for me? It's like, yeah, I definitely can, because I do like making these. They're very, very cool to make. But like I said, this heavy glitter, it just settles. And that's another thing I don't like about glitter. Sometimes I use a lot of colorants. Really a big fan of the 8-bit baits, Holoshift Powders and stuff like that, because that stuff, it's so small, it stays in the bait, and it gives it such an added effect, and it keeps everything, you know, evenly distributed, as opposed to when you apply too much heat to something like this, it wants to settle. So I don't think there was anything I could really do about it. But again, if you guys want me to try something different, please comment below. I may try it a little different way. I did inject it at a like 20 degrees difference cooler. Like I injected it like, I'm pretty sure like 320, and that's pretty low. I don't know if you could really get any lower than that. So injected it at 320. The only other thing I could do is maybe cool the mold down again, or you know, start off with it ice cold and try that again. Maybe it'll work, but I still have a funny feeling all that plastic and such a big body, it's just going to want to settle in the middle. So it just may be that this bait just, you know, isn't great. The body isn't great for doing big glitters. Small glitters, no problem. You could do small glitters. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think they'll settle as bad because they're so small and they're not as heavy, so they'll want to stay up in that, you know, stay up where they want to belong. So again, guys, I had a great time doing this video. Thanks to Epic Bait Molds, thanks to Barlow's. I'll put my Barlow's code right here. If you guys need something, go get something from Barlow's, use the code, support the channel. I love to just buy different things, glitters, colorants, lead colors, you know, all that, lead molds, all that stuff. I just like to get all that stuff from Barlow's, so then that way I can show you guys what Barlow's has to offer. They have a lot of stuff to offer. So that's there. Sticker Mule store is still open. Tons of different cool shirts. Some swag, you know, all that kind of stuff. I will put that right here. Check that out. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and always remember to keep on baiting.